Hello, everyone. It's B Corp month, so happy B Corp month. That is the month of March. You may have seen, if you're from Bristol, the big B, which is going around Bristol, which is like a 7, 8 foot tall B, which has made its way into the council building for Purpose Fest. People may have been at that. We've enjoyed that. And for B Corp month, we have released a brand new service, Culture Shift, which we are currently offering all of these Culture Shift workshops at half price. I'm sure you've seen the information going around. We're really excited to be offering these Culture Shift workshops because they all add something to your B Corp journey, but in a bit more of an embedded way rather than box ticking. You kind of tick the boxes without knowing that the boxes are really there, and you understand why you're doing it. Hi, Rich. Lovely to have you on. Thanks for jumping on this. If you could just introduce yourself a bit and a little bit about your position and Wonderland Comms.
Yeah, sure. I'm Rich from Wonderland. We're a Bristol-based creative communications agency, and by kind of creative comms we mean PR, we mean social media, we mean a bit of paid for media, sort of creative work, but really kind of working with consumer brands to help navigate and tell stories to consumers. We were set up in January 2016, which seems about 10 lifetimes ago now. I work with my wife. Alison set the business up in January 2016, and I kind of came on board a few months once we basically knew we could make some money and we could both afford to do the job of Wonderland. And since then, yeah, it's been an amazing kind of 7 years, really. We've had some great success. We've done some amazing work, and I think the thing that we're most proud of really is the very values-driven business that we've created with an incredibly strong culture that I feel we don't really own anymore. And I mean that in a really positive way, that the culture that we've created is now really strongly embedded in the business, that everyone holds each other to account for our own culture, including us. So it's I feel in a privileged position with that now, that we don't have to curate our business. It kind of has become slightly amorphous in how it's evolved and how its culture has kind of evolved, really. And I think in terms of kind of why we set the business up, if now's a sort of good time to say that, really, I think both Alison and I have worked in comms and marketing in one way, shape or form. Christ, now for both of us, probably over 20 years each. And I absolutely love the industry. I love helping clients. I kind of love the brand storytelling element of what we do. But agencies are really tough places to work. They're pretty gnarly kind of cultures to live and exist in, and also they're pretty predictable. I think as we both kind of looked to turn 40, I think we looked ahead at what we wanted to achieve, and we still really loved that element of the job that we were doing. But you know, that knowing what every day, what every board meeting was going to look like, knowing what kind of every client solution was kind of going to look like, and you know, the battles that you faced every day around profitability over doing good work. And I think that was the thing that our futures didn't hold for us. We wanted to do something different. So we kind of practiced what we preach from a brand storytelling perspective. One of the first things that we did was really look at our mission. Why do we exist? Why are we on this planet? And for us, Wonderland was really all about rebelling against boring, because that's what we felt our futures held for us. An environment, a life that was going to be predictable and stopped us from really enjoying the elements of the job that we liked. And I think as that has evolved, it isn't about rebelling against boring for the sake of it. It's not about that. It's not about being quirky or being different. It's actually about really challenging why things are done in a certain way and looking to improve them, looking to see if they can be done differently, looking to see if they can be done better through a different lens. And for that lens, for us, was all about our values. So as much as we really defined our mission and why we existed as a business, our values were just, if not more important, and the impact that we wanted to have on our employees, our clients, the planet, the world. I think that for us from day one when there was just two of us sat in our living room at home, and had that as a constant thread through everything that we've done from day one. And I think it's a theme that I keep coming back to as we go through this Q&A, is the importance of really understanding your mission and understanding the values that you hold as a business. That's been key for us. So yeah, a whistle-stop tour of Wonderland over the last 7 years.
You scored a whopping 38 points in workers. A lot of companies would dream of getting that amount of points. That's almost half of the points you need for B Corp. And could you kind of share a few of the policies and the things like your approach to pay that have contributed to that whopping score?
Thank you. Yeah, it's. I think we've been lucky that as we have grown and evolved as a business, you know, you have to create policies along the way. As much as we'd love to sit and just be an amorphous business without these things, you have to have policies. Of course you do. There's 16 of us in our business now, and you have to provide clarity and direction to people. And I think the thing is, as you evolve and grow as a business, you don't have to repeat what other people do from a policies perspective. Actually, they are a manifest of your mission. They are a manifest of your values and your purpose. So I think actually taking the time to think long and hard about that, they are an expression of you and your business. So personal development for us was one of those things that we focused on incredibly hard. We are a people business. Our service, if you like, is selling units of people's time to help consult a client. So we really do care about our people because they are the cornerstone of our business. And I think our experience of personal development in the businesses that we've worked in, and I'd say probably most businesses' approach to personal development is quite a selfish one. It's driven by, right, what can you do for this business? What do I need you to be doing? How can you be more profitable for me? Or how can you help create change in this business? Which is kind of the opposite of what really personal development is about. So for me, personal development is that. It's about you as an individual. What do you want to achieve? You know, no limits. We don't have structures. We don't have limits, and we don't place people on limits. So we ask some tough questions through this process, and we've renamed our personal development process we call it Wonder Fuel, because this idea of fueling people's energy and their own personal development. What do you want to achieve in life, in your career? What do you enjoy about the job? What don't you enjoy about it? And pose some really challenging questions to help them truly think about what they want to achieve from a 9-to-5 job. For some people, that's a really big question. For others, they're like, great, where do I start? Let me write this down. So we have to make it accessible for people. And what I suppose one of the things about a traditional approach to personal development, an objective-driven 12-month cycle, it gets people into thinking about it. So we wanted to make sure people were living and breathing it, but not in a way that we looked at once a year to define people's pay. So on to pay. So if we were investing all this time and energy for people to really think about what they want to achieve, now it's not right for us as a business to place a value on them for doing that. Great, you want to achieve all these things. I think you're going to be worth £12.50 an hour. Brilliant. It doesn't sit well with the process and the journey that we're on. So how do you define pay? So we ask people to go, right, based on what you want to achieve, based on what you're going to deliver to this business, now think about pay and reward. And we see it as one big mass. We don't just say, think about pay and reward. Think about, if we do bonuses, how do you want it paid? Do you think about, do you get enough holiday? Do you think about your training? Do you think about flexible work? So we see it as one whole. And we ask people to go, right, what does pay and reward look like for you? And we provide guidance, we provide industry benchmarking reports, we provide context, because that's the one thing we ask them to come with is context. I think I could get paid this much for doing this job somewhere else, or, you know, it's just that grown-up conversation to go, this is what I think I'm worth. And it's a conversation, and it's not, there has to be obviously a level of control within that, because we have to run a business and it has to run in our budgetary cycles, but provide guidance on that. So it's still not a thumbs up or thumbs down from me going, yes, I think you're worth that. It's a conversation, it's a journey to get to a point where if we're asking people to be in control of their own destiny in terms of their development, they should, by that very nature, be in control of what they get paid as a result of that, with some kind of context.
It's something that has played on my mind in terms of challenging convention, and what are these conventions that the stories that we tell ourselves every day as business leaders and progressive business people, and how do you challenge them in a healthy way? And I think the 4-day work week being trialed all over the UK recently is a really good example of that. These conventions are just conventions. They are simply stories, and you can just tell yourself another story. It can be quite difficult because you don't have all of these structures in place. Being apart from the status quo is inherently a challenge. It's challenging because you're challenging something that already exists. And my next question really is, it sounds very healthy, but it also sounds very complicated. And that would be my biggest fear going into that. So my question is, what's stopping businesses do these kind of things that you do with Wonderfuel? And yeah, what advice do you have for businesses that are seeing all of these barriers come up, including ours?
Yeah, I think just because something's going to be hard to do and fear of failure, that shouldn't stop you. I think we've done a number of things over the years that just haven't worked, and we have an environment where it's like it's okay to fail. We introduced unlimited holidays, so we wanted that concept of people being able to go, do you know what, this is our workload, this is what we need to achieve, take as much time off as you need or want or feel appropriate. It just didn't work. It actually created greater anxieties within the team about how much is too much. Am I taking the piss? Am I not? Am I taking enough holiday? And they actually came to us and said, can we just stick a limit on it, please? I think we're trying to go too far with something that isn't broken to an extent. As long as it's fair, open, and feels proportionate, we're happy. So just tell us what that should be. So I think, I don't know, it's weird because we come from a position where we've had to create these things. It's not as though they existed and we need to change it or make it better. But not being afraid of ripping things up and just trying it and seeing where it goes. But everything that we have done, everything from day one has been driven by our absolute laser-like clarity on our values and why we exist. So defining policies have become easy because we know what we're about. And I think we might come on to talk about this later, but for us, I think, for me, one of the things we've done from day one, we've truly understood what legislation requires us to do as a business. You know, you can't fly in the face of convention by fucking the rules and, you know, just reinventing the wheel. So truly understanding what legislation looks like and what you need to be doing, you absolutely have to understand that. Now, that doesn't necessarily sit well with my kind of mindset and my skills. So we worked with an outside partner, we worked with an HR consultant to really help us truly understand legislation, what's required of you as a business. And we stuck all of that through the lens, whatever policy was then through the lens of our values, and pushed and pushed and pushed and made each thing that we needed to do as better, as progressive, as good as possible based on what our values would determine that we should be doing for someone, you know, whether that be maternity, whether that be breastfeeding policies, whether that be approach to personal development. And again, this is where I said, like, rebelling isn't just a marketing kind of spin for us. You know, the reason why these things exist is because, you know, that's your legal minimum requirement. Doesn't mean as a progressive business with a very clear set of values, you shouldn't be pushing that as far as you can. And again, all for good rather than just. So I suppose recommendations, yeah, understand what you must be doing and then think about your brand and your business and therefore what should you be doing. I think those are two actually quite big questions. And I think both those questions have really helped determine a lot of the policies that we've had to build and make and processes we've put in place.
Yeah, and fantastic advice, and we will be taking that to heart. And it reminds me quite a lot of an idea of how to crack capitalism, or how to crack something that is this kind of solid rock in front of us, which looks really difficult to really dismantle. But if you can just get into a little crack and you expose some kind of better way of doing things, you get into the crack and then you just increase that like water into a crack in a rock. You increase that crack, and over time that crack will become a noticeable large sort of tear in the whole system. and that's when you can start reinventing something. And yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a fantastic approach. And
yeah, it does take time, and I think bringing a team on a journey with us who have believed in us and see what we're doing. Again, building on that kind of personal development story, we have something called Wonderversity, which is our kind of training program, and what people can do is we'll provide. It's kind of fuel for the development of the individuals and us as a business. It's our constant kind of thread for learning things. So it can be as basic as people of having access to training tools. So we subscribe to, I don't know whether any of you seen any of the masterclass videos, really interesting subject matter. It's a subscription model where you have famous people or people experts in fields just giving a talk on hostage situations, or there's all these weird and wonderful stuff for you can apply learnings to. Or we bring in external speakers to talk about a subject matter. But actually where we have the real power is through the Wonderfield process. We get people to identify their superpowers, the things that they think they're really good at, and their kryptonite are the things that they're not so good at. And through the Wonderversity, people actually run classes themselves on the things that they're good at: timekeeping, running workshops, weaving, whatever. So that development to that point of getting in there and finding those cracks. It's only now, 3 years into this process, the team are really going, I can see the value in that. I'm going to run those sessions for us as a business. I feel confident enough in my abilities, and I can see the value to the business in doing this. So time is also a thing, you know.
And I think all of this speaks to seeing the worker as something far past their economic value to a business, and they're people. We are people who aren't just the job that we do, and there's so much more richness in that. And even if we've begun to harness some kind of value from that, it's so positive for any business. But also it's healthy, but super complicated. That's the two words I'm coming back to.
You've introduced me at the start of the session as the managing director. I'm no longer the managing director. I'm simply a Wonderlander. We've removed job titles this year to really kind of underpin that we all have an equal voice in this business. It might confuse clients sometimes, but we help to understand and explain that. But I think it really underpins that internal focus that we've all got a voice. We're all just as important. But again, it's taken us nearly 7 years to change quite a fundamental part of our business, which is job titles. And most businesses run and function on hierarchy to an extent, but at least clarity through job title.
To bring it on to B Corp and your recent B Corp journey, why did you decide to go B Corp? Why did you think it was an important step in your development, especially as you have such progressive ideas, probably far outside what B Corp kind of recommends? Why was that important for you to get as a business?
I think two things to that. I think pride. I think we're proud of what we've achieved. We're proud of what we've built, and we want the team to feel that. And actually having external accreditation on those things that you've achieved, it's quite a powerful thing to be able to look back as a business and go, we achieved that together. So pride, absolutely, first and foremost. And the second part, probably I'm not quite as proud about, is the commerciality. You know, we are working in a sector where a lot of brands are dictating and I support this in a way because it's how change happens. But brands are deciding who they work with, who their agency and supplier partners are based on their B Corp status. So there was an element of future protection of our business and our revenue streams, but that was very much a secondary. It becomes a hygiene factor. But pride, because we are very proud and pleased with what we want, and we want the team to feel that, but also with our business hat on, making sure that we're not excluding certain parts of the market that we can work with, because brands, you know, want clarity around people's B Corp status.
Hello. I just had a quick question about the removal of job titles. When it comes to, I guess, hiring, how does that work? How does that work with sort of differentiating between different requirements, different areas of the business? Do you not include job titles on job posts, for example?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because obviously you want a certain type of person with a certain level of experience, and that's what we've actually got a job ad going live this week, and we do say we're looking for a Wonderlander. Ideally, you'll have 4 years experience doing this, or you might be at this level in another agency. So you've got to play the game, right? You've got to be able to reference the outside world to give context. But we do very much, I think this is part of the selection criteria. If you need to be in an environment where you're going to get regular recognition and changes in job title, that we're probably not the right organization for you. So there's an self-selection through that recruitment process, but you have to help people. But often when we recruit, we're very broad. You might have 1 year's experience, you might have 10. I think talent for us is really hard in finding the right person. So often a lot of our ads are generic, just means it takes a bit longer to find the right person. But what it does do, it brings someone with I like what you're about, and here's me. And often then that sparks and leads to things. We've grown year on year, so it's really weird that we've never had to replace a person. This person did this job, we need someone that's going to do that job. So yeah, it's you've got to provide context. You've got to help people understand you rather than shouting, "We don't cheat job titles, get over it."
Will?
Hi, Rich.
Hey, man.
I love the sound of you decide your own salary, but has that led to any issues? Because I could see that there could be issues from there. If someone felt that they deserved something more, and then you say, actually, no, it's probably a little bit less. Does that not lead to some drops in morale, or how do you navigate that?
Yeah, so one of the things we always talk about is context of how the business is doing. So what can we, and you have to be able to have an open and honest dialogue about business performance. We are doing well. There's plenty of money kicking around in the business. Not that we say that, but we're on target. We're achieving the goals that we need to achieve. Great. So the team understand that it's a constant narrative in our monthly meetings, our business performance, how we're doing. The how you ask people to think about their achievements, context, be realistic, these things. So we've never had conflict in the sense of, I think you're an idiot, you're asking for too much. Is that we've never been to that kind of level. I think wherever we've had to manage expectations, it's come down to what the business can afford, rather than I think you're overselling yourself. I think people, it's a dialogue, it's a conversation, and I think often in the old world the conversation was, here's a 3% pay rise, crack on. And we're trying to close that gap between going, well, someone thinks they're worth versus what we can afford to pay them. And there will always be a bit of a grey area in between. But if you can set up a clear process, these are the things we're asking you to look at. As long as there's clarity through that. So far, we haven't had anyone leave because they don't feel valued through a pay and remuneration part. It is tricky. It's harder than just going, fill out an appraisal form, here's what you can afford to get paid. It is harder, but the benefits for us, seeing people, some of the people, the journey that they've been on, to be brave and really look at the things that they've achieved and want to achieve, and see them to create a business case to go, I think I'm worth this, and the difference it's made in them, the confidence it's given them. It's far worth that extra bit of time and effort needed to resolve something quite big like this.
Yeah, hi, my name's Lloyd. I'm from Planning Potential. We're a planning consultancy. I was just wondering, with the job titles in our industry, obviously it's quite important. How does someone know, example, in your, say if you've got a marketing department or admin, or you've got a consultant, how does someone outside of the company differentiate or know who to contact if you've all got the same title? So we've got a comms team, planning consultants, heritage team. If we're all called the same name, for example, people will be quite confused. Just wondering how you get over that.
Yeah, I think it's easy for us. We're a collective bunch under one umbrella. Wonderland is a very catch-all term. We'll do it. I would try and move away from. For us, the thing we were trying to overcome was seniority, and I should speak to that person because I'm more experienced than that person. So trying to look at. I am a planner. I am a creative. I'm a doer. So one of the things that we had to change was traditionally how we charge clients is based on the seniority of the people doing the work. So agencies love multiple job titles because they can charge 15 different charging structures for doing something. We've rethought that to charge for thinking and we now charge for doing. So that's all we charge clients. We have 2 day rates, if you like, for what we do. Now, anyone in our business can be charged out at either rate. So again, that's an internal barrier that we've overcome to underpin saying to a client, pick up the phone to any of us to talk about any of this stuff, because we've all got the same level of experience, knowledge, and we're on the same page around the consultancy we need to give you. But absolutely, if we were a business with 4 or 5 different departments doing different things, then our approach would very much be about providing clarity to a client, because there's no point in rebelling to make things harder. You still need to be able to do things well. So yeah, I'd look at function rather than seniority is our approach, I think.
Okay, thanks.
Cheers. And I see, Tom, you have raised your hand.
Yeah, in a very orderly fashion, absolutely. Yeah, Rich, love what you have to say. I find it really, really interesting. And I can vouch that Oscar, whenever he's come back from a meeting with you guys, he's like, guys, I've heard this new crazy policy, we've got to trial it. And so, yeah, obviously as the first employer, I was like, yeah, great, I can pick my pay. That sounds fantastic. I'll take the lot. So my question for you guys is, obviously, you know, you're very value driven, you know where you want to go, but is there a company that's kind of your North Star, or is there a destination or a place you want to get to beyond just your values driving you, seeing where it's going? Is there actually somewhere you want to go, or a business you kind of want to be like?
Not within the comm sector, because most agencies are arseholes, if I'm honest, in terms of like that. The culture has come from a very different place to, we want to be recognised outside of our own industry for being a good business. You know, it takes very little. I would get very little pride from the PR industry turning around and going, "What a great place!" This is why one of the reasons we don't enter awards in our sector. You know, for us, the value comes from what our clients say about us, not what our peers say about us, because we're all a bit like, thank you, but it's a pretty low level of quality to be kind of better than it. No, I think the thing for me that drives us is the team and making sure that they feel valued, empowered, included, all those things. That's the thing that constantly drives us. We don't set out every year to make X% more money. We achieve, our business plan is quite weird. That's a bit of it. Making money, you know, how much do we need to make? But the bigger part of our annual business planning is what do we want to achieve as a collective? What is the thing? What's the biggest challenge that we face this year as a business? You know, coming out of COVID's caused us huge amounts of challenges in terms of a workforce coming back together, and you know, so all those things that we reflect in our business plan are the things that are in front of us every single day. So I want to make sure that we keep being a values-driven business, making sure that people continue to be the first thought and the last thought of every single day. So yeah, that's, I don't know. Actually, the first thing we write in our business plan every year is still be in business by the end of it, not go bust. So yeah, everything else is the bonus in my head.
As with all good speakers, we've run over by a good chunk, but totally worthwhile. I think everyone will be thankful for those extra 10 minutes. And I'm just gonna take the last question because I can do that. And my question is, if you had one piece of advice that you could tell yourself at the start of your B Corp journey, that moment when you said, we're going to do this, what would you tell that person? And yeah, that's it really. One piece of advice.
Get help. I'm sorry, I haven't been paid to say this. Get help. The B Corp process is quite rightly a really tough process to navigate. I understand my business and my world. I don't understand the requirements in B Corp. So getting help is something we put off for ages because we're quite stubborn. We were like, we can do this. It's just a bunch of questions. It's the thing that paralyzed us from getting on and doing it. And actually having Oscar shine a light back on our business and go, no, you do that. That's what you're doing. Yes, you're allowed to say that and you're allowed to get those scores. So I think get help. Get someone to help navigate you through that process. But secondly, take that time before you go through it. Why are you doing it? How does this reflect your values? How does it reflect your business goals? So don't do it just because it's a thing. Make sure it sits well with your business. and then just get on with it. Fuck me, just get on with it. It's scary, and the sooner you start the process, the sooner you'll get to the end of it. And I wish we had kind of kicked it off 2 years ago. But we're a small business and we all do a bit of everything. So it's one of those things that gets put off. And actually, we've been seeing you, for an hour a week for the last few months. We submitted yesterday, the day before, and it surprised us, so stop procrastinating, I think, was the thing that Oscar said to me and Alison.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rich, and thank you everyone for coming. Always really a pleasant experience putting these on. So yeah, thanks for making it so really nice, and we'll hopefully see you at the next one in 2 months' time. We'll have another interesting guest from the community, and yeah, wonderful. So have a great afternoon. Thanks for coming, and cheers.
Enjoy your
Thank you very
lunches.
much.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Really interesting.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.